Broadcasting System in Painesville. Good evening and welcome to LNTV Weekend Review. 45 minutes of news that made headlines during the week. I'm Cecilia Clark anchoring this edition, and these are the top stories. President George Weah leads a high-powered Liberian delegation to Israel to help attract more investment to the country. The Special Presidential Technical Committee releases executive summary report on the alleged 16 billion saga, says no 16 billion of money in a container got missing. FDA banned huge wildlife permits to fully destroy wildlife market across the country. PUL opens book of condolence for fallen journalist E. Blummer Robertson. These plus many more interesting stories all packaged for your view. But first, let's take a short break to be right back. Thanks for rejoining us, and let's take our first development. President George Weah, during the week in review, led a power delegation to Israel to discuss several development-related issues. Speaking at the investment forum, the Liberian leader said Liberia is prepared to explore all opportunities to help better the living condition of his people.
I would like to extend thanks and appreciation to the Paris Center for Peace and Innovation, the Africa-Israel Chamber of Commerce, and the government of Israel for organizing this all-important investment forum. This roundtable engagement, which brings the business community in Israel face-to-face with my sectoral ministers and officials, will for both sides the opportunity to explore options and possibility for investment in Liberia. During my inaugural address, when I took over the mantle of leadership as President of Liberia, I declared that Liberia is open for business. As a government, we have taken several policy initiatives to ensure that there is ease of doing business in Liberia. For example, our national business registry has been harmonized and simplified. Due to critical reforms at the National Investment Commission, potential investors now have a one-stop shop and a transparent list of regulatory requirements to establish their businesses in Liberia. Our investment initiative regime has also been reformed, enabling investors who qualify under our liberal system to benefit from significant fiscal reliefs. Also, under the chairmanship of the Minister of Finance and Development Planning, we have constituted a business climate improvement working group, which has since been identifying and tackling prohibitive bottlenecks that have been stifling the business and investment environment, leading to a more seamless process of investing in our country. The work of this group has now caused the reduction in the time of registering a business from 18 days to 5 days.
Now Homebrew loan agreement over the weekend was passed into law by the House of Representatives. Reading the communication to plenary was the secretary, that's the chief clerk of the House of Representatives, Major Sion.
Two loan agreements. One loan agreement between the Republic of Liberia and the African Development Fund, River Union Liberia, Cote d'Ivoire Development and Transfer Facilitation Program.
while Madam Sayan also read several proposed bills to the House of Representatives from the President of the Republic of Liberia.
To submit to your honorable body for ratification an area development agreement between the government of the Republic of Liberia and Common Bird Resources Liberia Incorporated. Honorable Speaker, Common Bird Resources Limited is a UK-based mining company for the extraction of gold. Area of extraction is primarily within Sando County, but also covers part of the southeastern counties of Maryland, Grand Crew, and River G. It is estimated to contain over 4 million ounces of gold. Common Bird's mineral exploration license expired in 2013 with negotiations for the FDA concluded in 2019. This concession offers opportunities not only to provide direct benefits in the form of employment and government revenues, but also contributes to strategies aimed to link the historically, economically deprived southeast of Liberia with the rest of the country.
Speaking in plenary, Monserrado District 8 Representative Akaros Gray filed a motion for the communications to be forwarded to the relevant committees, rooms for review and subsequent decision taken.
If I can obtain a second, that will place the various agreements or bills in category. That one, that the financing agreement, smallholder agricultural transformation, and agribusiness revitalization projects, and concession agreement between the Republic of Liberia and Nima Rubber Corporation, that number 1 and number 4, let me repeat so that our people can take the record, that number 1 and number 4 be sent to the following committees.
Monserrado District 8 Representative Akaros Gray. The Special Presidential Technical Committee during the week in review released executive summary report on the 16 billion saga says there was no missing 16 billion in the container as Wale speculated. Reading the report was Ellis Coffey.
On the issue of missing container, the investigation found out that there was no container full of money that was missing. Rather, there were 10 shipments of printed materials, as they call it, that is the new Liberian banknotes, in 24 containers, 20 foot in size. Between September 7, 2016 and March 25, 2018. All the containers containing the new Liberian dollar banknotes printed and shipped by Green Currency were duly received by the Central Bank of Liberia and put in their reserve vault. Let me also add that it's not only containers. Some of the banknotes also came at the airport through plane.
The committees observed several missteps by the Central Bank of Liberia during its investigation. Here once more is Alexander Coffey.
The Central Bank of Liberia did not provide any amendment to the contract or any document to justify the overpayment. In 2017 and 2018, the total amount of 10 billion 359 million 750,000 Liberian dollar banknotes printed and shipped by Green Currency was received by the Central Bank of Liberia.
committee has so far presented several recommendations after the completion of its work. Ellis Coffey read some of the communications. That's the recommendation.
Given the many discrepancies as to the total and actual amount of new Liberian dollar banknote printed, shipped and received by the Central Bank of Liberia, thereby creating doubts as to the total amount of Liberian dollar banknote in circulation, as well as the negative impact said discrepancies are having on the economy, the investigation recommends the demonetization of the current Liberian dollar banknote, both the new ones and the legacy banknote, to be demonetized. That's the recommendation of the investigation.
During the week under review, the head of the group, National Anti-Corruption Integrity Forum, James Coyer, has called on President George Manawia to balance the equation and take practical action to ensure the fight against corruption is taken very seriously under his leadership.
We appreciate the U.S. government through the USAID for providing support. As we speak, the Liberian Civil Society Anti-Corruption Coalition is very much concerned. Our research and legal and strategic planning team is now reviewing that report and will become of an official position. But as it is now, we are saying that there is need for more action. We believe that this government and our president should end impunity. The president, under no condition, should shield any official that have been implicated as it relates to the report. Considering what we are looking at in the report tentatively, there are two issues. One has to do with the missing money, and if you just read the report, even from a layman's standpoint, you will note that senior officials at the central bank under the past leadership, some of whom have been handcuffed and arrested. We also commend the government saying that's a first step, but we also have issue with the $25 million that also there is no conventional means that it was mocked up.
The Liberia Business Association has raised a line over what they call the alleged arbitrary increase in tariff at the APM terminals. James Trottle is the president of LIBA. He spoke at a news conference during the week in review.
Attention has been drawn to the recent development at the Freeport of Monrovia, especially the arbitrary increase in tariff by the APN terminal. The leadership of LIBA has been duly informed that in early February 2019, the management of APN terminal informed the general public that due to the early increasing cost of operation, it has become to increase its continual handling charges by 10% to meet demands of effective port operations.
Also speaking at the conference, the president of the Liberia Chambers of Commerce, Wendell Added, who noted that prior to the decision taken by the APM terminals, there were meetings held but claimed that the company did not listen to what were discussed.
The portion in terms of profit to APM terminal was $400,000. We sat, we discussed it, we looked at the cost implication, the negative dominant cost implication, and immediately the minister called in his legal officer and his secretary and dictated a letter to APM terminal. And that letter clearly states this: roll back your tariff to the original, and the government will look into how we can accommodate you on your $400,000 within the context of your contract. APN has failed to implement that. All right? They have failed to implement that. Two things here, two takeaways here. The chamber, labor, and the government agree.
Liberia Chamber of Commerce President Winel Ade. The Partnership for Research on Ebola virus in Liberia said its extension of the program to regional countries, which it noted has made some significant impact. Joseph Boy, Couple Privé, has more on this development.
The total number of 3,900 participants across the region, Liberia, Guinea, Sierra Leone, Mali, and that was very successful. So for now, we are like following up on those participants. Enrollment on the extended of the vaccine study, the extension of the vaccine study has ended, and doing the extension of the vaccine research, which is the collaboration between these countries in West Africa. We thought it wise that the categories of enrollment would be divided into 4 different segments, where people from 18 and above enrolled first, and during the time of the research, later on, people between the ages of 12 to 11 to 17 enrolled next. After a few months, then people between the ages of 5 to 11 came next. Then later on, the children between the ages of 1 year to 4 years old came last. And after
Meanwhile, the social mobilization lead, Bartholomew Wilson, praised the communities for being very responsive to the entire exercise. He said the community's support helped prevail to achieve its benchmark.
Video studies hasn't been rosy all along. Going back to 2015, I remember some of the challenges that we encountered in the early days of video, but that is far behind us now. I think you listen to some of the numbers that my colleagues were presenting here. It tells you clearly that we've come a long way. Video has been generally accepted across communities in Liberia, and with their support, we've managed to reach our targets for all of the video studies. At some point in time, even below the expected dates for enrollment. So some of the studies we even reached the numbers that we expected before even the closure date that we.
The head of the European Union delegation to Liberia, Helen Cave, has praised Liberia for making massive progress in complying with the forest management sector of the country. Ambassador Cave noted that Liberia is on the high list as far as the program is concerned, unlike other countries.
Today is a real progress compared to the past. So I think we are progressing very good. A lot of questions have been addressed. We don't sometimes agree on everything, but I think this time the aide-mémoire has been signed. I think the purpose of 2020 for export of timber legally processed is still, I would say, something that we have on the radar screen. I would like to say also that this committee here with all these working groups, I think it's a model and it should be used maybe for other thematics in Liberia, where you have the government and some agencies, you have the private sector, you have civil society. So I think it's a perfect example of how sustainable development can be taken into account. I would say taking into account the economics, protection of the environment, and also the social aspect. So
At the same time, the board chair for the Forestry Development Authority, Harrison Conway, noted the Liberian government is committed to fulfilling legally all instruments necessary to ensure that the sector is well monitored so that the community can benefit in full.
The benefit of this and future generations, that it is governed according to the laws of Liberia, that the timbers will be traded in Europe and other parts of the world for better money. It will stop illegality. But more than that, it makes sure that revenue generated from the forest is shared with the communities according to the laws of Liberia, according to the forestry reform law. The Liberian government remits 30% of land rental and administrative fees to the communities and 30% to the counties. And we have a very elaborate benefit sharing scheme that makes sure that what goes to the community is governed by the committee responsible for that, and they are audited by independent audit. So it brings a lot for our country, so we benefit a hell of a lot.
In a related development, the head of the Forestry Development Authority, C. Mark Doyen, says the FDA has put in place a workable mechanism to ensure that the wildlife market is destroyed in and around the country.
2018, we took the helm of leadership here, and what we saw was a booming wildlife past and wildlife market. For us, I've said it before and I wish to repeat, it was a disservice, we consider a disservice to donors who spend their money to create protected areas and national park, and then right here in Monrovia, you see that there's a booming wildlife market here. So any donor who actually been spending that money for managing national park and protected area, and you come and see a booming market and wildlife market in Monrovia, you feel discouraged. We think it's unfair that people should get involved in such a thing. So we put into place the appropriate mechanism to make sure that this wildlife market will be destroyed in Monrovia and other parts of Liberia. What you see us doing here today is only a part of our effort to fight wildlife crime. Already we've constituted a wildlife unit, a wildlife confiscation unit. We've already recruited the staff. They're supposed to go on specialized training, and they will be equipped with drones to take photos, artificial intelligence, and take action on the basis of the available intelligence. They will.
The group Liberia Young Women Organization for Improvement launched its GFCSO network program under the theme, the ratification of the Minamata Convention, a global youth initiative for zero mercury. Rachel Colley covered the program, and back in studio, she compiled this report.
The program began with a parade from the Environmental Protection Agency's building through town, with GEFCSO network and the Zero Mercury members holding placards with slogans that reads, "Mercury is harmful to pregnant women. Say no to the use of mercury." Members of the campaign also raised the red flag, calling on the government to ratify the Minamata Convention. Environmental Protection Agency Executive Director Nathaniel Blama, launching the program, said the EPA will partner with the GEFCSO network.
We can't be everywhere, but the CSOs are in almost every community. So we want to partner with you in executing some of our mandates. One of the mandates of the EPA is to show effective environmental education and awareness. We think that one component that the CSO can be very effective in educating people on the danger, abuse, misuse, importance of different environments here.
In remarks, United Nations Development program, UNDP resident representative to Liberia, Pa Lami Bea, urged CSO networking groups to implement finances allocated to them to benefit the society.
Network is network. Network in the sense that it comprises more than one entity. And I'm happy to see the array of CSO representatives here already. And allocation does not mean utilization. If there is 1.3 million available, it does not mean that tomorrow we should have queues at UNDP waiting to access those resources. No. People should be able to come with bankable projects, because these funds, as you all know, come from funders, and they require utmost accountability from him as well as from us, and even the implementers as well as the beneficiaries.
Speaking earlier, the GEF CSO Network National Coordinator Kona Koli explained the essence of the organization.
The GEF CSO Network is a branch of organization that is established globally. It has to do with civil society that are into the GEF program. It's an independent global alliance of civil society organization coming together to fight global issues.
The program was held under the theme Ratification of the Manamata Convention, a global use of zero mercury. I am Rachel Bangwe Colley reporting.
Rachel Colley with that report. Since the signing into law of the local government bill, there has been several improvements in rural Liberia as far as the implementation of the law is concerned. Emmanuel Wenyu is the technical assistant at the Ministry of Internal Affairs. He explains more to LNTV News during the weekend review.
Signing of the Local Government Act of 2018, as it is commonly called, it sets the basis. It tells Liberians about the commitment of His Excellency Dr. George Weah when his promises talk about taking power to the people, on the slogan of the CDC, power to the people. This law speaks directly to that. It tells about governance, some of the issues that we have faced long ago, as a country, participation of the citizenry into decision making, into participation, into planning and monitoring, and the entire running of government.
If you're just joining us, it's a reminder that you are watching LNTV News Weekend Review. 45 minutes of news about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of our world. These are the top stories we are following. President George Weah leads a high-power Liberian delegation to Israel to help attract more investment to the country. The Special Presidential Technical Committee releases executive summary report on the alleged 16 billion saga, says no 16 billion of money in a container got missing. FDA brand huge wildlife promised fully to destroy wildlife market across the country. And PEL opens book of condolence for fallen journalist E. Blumbo Robertson. We take a short break to be right back. Joining us, and I'm Cecilia Clark anchoring. The Ministry of Education says it is working tirelessly to ensure that the issue of supplementary payroll will be a history at the end of this year. Currently, as a result of some efforts by the Ministry, over 1,000 teachers formally of the supplementary payroll have now been placed on regular payroll. J. Maxine Blitten is the Communications Director at the Ministry of Education.
Over 1,000 of supplementary payroll have been transferred to the regular payroll, which means we are taking those listings from the supplementary payroll to the regular payroll so that we can pay in line with your qualification, that which will commensurate with your qualification. So the minister told them, the first thing we want to do at the ministry with the senior management team is to make sure that this supplementary payroll is dealt with sufficiently and completed result. What do I mean by that? We are not going to jump from one place to another place. No. Our target right now from the Ministry of Education is to deal with the supplementary payroll and make sure that the supplementary payroll, all those on the supplementary payroll, they are professionally transferred on the regular payroll.
Has that been done?
It is ongoing as we speak to you right now.
Martin Blitten, Communications Director at the Ministry of Education. During the week in review, the Liberian Anti-Corruption Commission received a new boss in person of Councillor Charles Gibson, giving an overview as well as contributions of the LCC during his stay at the commission was Councillor James Vreder.
The legislation was submitted through the Office of the President, the Whistleblower Bill, and the Witness Protection Bill. To the Office of the President, we also submitted a proposed bill to amend the new judiciary law, Chapter 17 of the Liberian Code of Law revised, to add thereto a new chapter to be known as Chapter 26 to provide for the establishment of a specialized school for exclusive original jurisdiction over corruption and related economic and financial crimes. And a proposed bill to amend the Act establishing the LCC to grant the LCC direct power to prosecute. We signed 3 MOUs that foster collaboration, enhance the work of the Commission with the GAC on asset declaration, with the LRA on corruption in revenue generation, through which 2 arrests were made for alleged revenue fraud, and with USAID effort to enhance LCC capacity to investigate prosecuting cases.
Meanwhile, the new LACC boss, Councillor Gibson, thanked President Weah for reposing confidence in him to serve his people as he promised to work with the current team to deliver up to expectation.
I'd like to assure him that whatever confidence that he has reposed in him will not fall on the ground. Can you hear? I would also like to say that this is a vocation or an academia that you do not go in to make friends. I learned that the hard way my first year here. So working at LSCC is nowhere that you expect to hear good things about yourself. As a matter of fact, you lose friends. I've lost some friends. I can speak for myself. But that doesn't deter us from doing what we're called to do as a duty. LSCC has been, it is, and it will always be a beacon of integrity, transparency, and accountability in this country. I intend, whatever time I stay as OIC, either one day, 1 week, or 1 month, to continue.
The new LACC boss, Councillor Charles Gibson. Monserrado County Senator Sir Joseph, during the week in review, donated huge medical supplies to the John F. Kennedy Memorial Hospital. The gesture, he noted, is part of his contribution to healthcare delivery system of the country.
The needs. There's a need to renovate another wing, as you did the last time, that have taken more patients in, and I saw that need because I saw patients sitting taking drips and what have you. So I thought it wise to bring some supplies, bed and mattresses to you today, so that buttress the effort of the administration. I want to say thank you for all of the effort that you guys have been making. And in my own way, as a senator of Moserado County, it's my responsibility to make sure that I work along with you and other health centers in Moserado County, that they have the necessary support that they deserve.
Well, receiving the items, the head of JFK, Dr. Jerry Brown, thanked Senator Sir Joseph for what he considers a timely gesture.
It's going to help improve our healthcare delivery capability. JFK does appreciate every little donation that we receive from anyone. The beauty of it also for your part is that JFK is within your county, Moserado, and serve as the primary referral center in the Republic of Nigeria, making our catchment population to be larger than any other hospital in Nigeria. For this reason, as we improve our services, we get overwhelmed by
the National Youth Movement for Peaceful Election, NEMOT, during the week in review, intensified its campaign to rural Liberia, calling for the need for more females representation at the national legislature. Peace Matter Boy told LNTV why the campaign is so important.
If you look at our political landscape, you find out that we have less female participation at the national level and even at the local level. See that there is a need to encourage female participation. Against this background, we have this project with funding from Canada through UN Women to mentor young women who are passionate about politics and leadership. Some of the risks we see coming forth is that if we have less women participation at the national level, legislations around women issues might.
The National Muslim Council of Liberia during the week in review distanced itself from planned protest action. According to Sheikh Omaru Kamara, they have no idea on such religious gatherings and call on their kinsmen not to attend it for the sake of maintaining the peace.
We have come to ELBC to clarify about demonstration planning tomorrow, to say to the Liberian and the people of Liberia and the Muslims, the Muslim Council, National Muslim Council of Liberia, as a chairman, as a secretary, as a member of executive, we are now aware of any planning demonstration tomorrow or anytime. We not encouraging anybody to go in demonstration.
Family members and friends during the week in review attended the removal ceremony of renowned Liberian clergy, Bishop May Roberts. Bishop May Roberts died early February of 2019 and was a torch-bearer and role model to many Liberians, especially in the Christian faith.
We're going to go to rest at some point in time. This is the end of her earthly life, but all her life she worked for the kingdom of God. She lived to be 97. It has been a blessing for our family. We are here today to celebrate her life, to thank God for the blessing of her presence for so long. And we hope and we believe that she has finally found a resting place in the kingdom of God. What do you...
The only surviving son of Bishop May Roberts, Charles Roberts, reflecting on the life of his late mother. The Press Union of Liberia during the week in review opened the book of condolence for fallen journalist E. Blummer Robertson, who was laid to rest today. At the ceremony, LBS Deputy Director General for Media Services, Titi Fuka Jibro, recounted his contribution to the media landscape of the country.
This is a very sad moment for all of us, especially knowing the person who Mr. Robertson was. On behalf of my own boss,
County District Number 4 Representative Rawa Wongwe has donated educational materials to students in his district. The move by the Bond County lawmaker is to help reduce some of the financial burden on less fortunate parents in his district and to as well motivate the children to do their best in their educational sojourn. Well, on that note, this is how we come to an end of LNTV Week in Review. But before we go, a recap of the major stories. President George Weah leads a high-power Liberian delegation to Israel to help attract more investors to the country. The Special Presidential Technical Committee releases executive summary report on the alleged 16 billion saga, says no 16 billion of money in container got missing. FDA brand huge wildlife promise to fully destroy wildlife market across the country. And PUL opens book of condolence for fallen journalist E. Blamo Robertson. Many thanks to all who watched this edition of LNTV Week in Review. Many thanks also to our entire production team. On behalf of the entire team, I am Cecilia Clark. I anchored. Good night.
Thank you.